Hey guys, welcome to ItsJustJoeTV. Today we're going to talk about sleep paralysis. I got quite a few comments about it, so let's check it out. So we're going to go over here and we're going to open up Chrome. What is sleep paralysis? Sleep paralysis is a phenomenon in which an individual, either during falling asleep or awaking, briefly experiences an inability to move, speak, or react. It is a transitional state between wakefulness and sleep. Sleeping in a fixed supine position increases the chance of sleep paralysis. There's a lot of scenarios that go along with this, so we'll show you. We'll start with this one. The phenomenon of sleep paralysis can be recognized in reports across different cultures and throughout history. Perhaps the most famous historic example of sleep paralysis in art is Henry Fuseli's 1781 painting The Nightmare. This painting features many of the classic symptoms of sleep paralysis. The central figure is portrayed lying on her back with the demon sitting on her chest, a strange-looking creature in the background. Many consider it Fuseli's greatest work, and it is believed to be one of the first artistic impressions of sleep paralysis. In the history of Western medicine, sleep paralysis has been documented for at least 300 years. Writing in 2008, Kapanji describes a 1664 case report from Dutch physician Isbrand van Diemerbrock titled Of the Nightmare. It describes a patient's symptoms. Quote, "In the nighttime, when she was composing herself to sleep, sometimes she believed the devil lay upon her and held her down. Sometimes she was choked by a great dog or a thief lying upon her breast, so that she could hardly speak or breathe, and when she endeavored to throw off the burden, she was not able to stir her members." Von Diemerbrock diagnosed the case as the following. Quote, "This affection is called incubus, or the nightmare, which is an incepting of the moon of the voice of respiration, with a false dream of something lying ponderous upon the breast. The motion of the muscle fail now, because the motion of the muscle, for the most part, cases in time of sleep, except the respiratory muscles. Therefore, the falling of their motion is first perceived by reason of the extraordinary trouble that arises for want of respiration. Now the patient, not understanding the cause in that condition, believes herself to be overlaid by something, some demon, thief, or other ponderous body, being neither able to move nor breathe." Von Diemerbrock's report accurately represents a case of sleep paralysis, suggesting that this condition has been known by medical professionals for hundreds of years. This evidence that Persian doctor also knew of sleep paralysis. A 10th century Persian medical text by renowned physician Rosses, 1865 to 925 CE, describes the following condition. Quote, when the nightmare kabus happens, the person senses a heavy thing upon him and finds he unable to scream. Raz's student Akawanani went further, detailing his ideas for cause and treatment of this condition. Quote, the nightmare is caused by rising of vapors from the stomach to the brain. The therapy includes bloodletting from the thin diet, especially in patients with red eyes and face. Greek doctors who also were aware of sleep paralysis with Galen discussion the condition in the 2nd century CE. The earliest written account of sleep paralysis can be found in a Chinese book on dreaming, dating back to 400 BCE. It is interesting to note that a lot of these early examples refer to sleep paralysis attacks as nightmare. In fact, the symptoms of sleep paralysis implied in the original meaning of the word nightmare, as opposed to what we think of as a nightmare today, merely a bad dream, despite the fact that the medical professionals and professions have long known about sleep paralysis and known it to be a natural phenomenon. Throughout history, sleep paralysis has often been interpreted as supernatural connotations, and this interpretation has sometimes had deadly consequences. Sleep paralysis and witch trials. The mar of the word nightmare. The mare of the word nightmare is derived by the Norse word mara. This refers to a supernatural, usually female being that lies on people's chests at night, suffocating them. Whilst example of the deception of the nightmare can be found across Europe by the early modern era, 1500 to 1800. This explanation of sleep paralysis experiences had been largely forgotten, and in many parts of Europe, including Britain and France, sleep paralysis was frequently interpreted as witch attacks. Writing in 2003, Davies quotes examples of sleep paralysis found in evidence used at the Salem witch trials of 1692. Accused witch Susan Martin had reportedly told Robert Downer that, quote, some she-devil would shortly fetch him away, end quote. That night, Downer claimed, quote, as he lay in his bed, there came in at the window, comma, the likeness of a cat, which flew up upon him, took fast hold of his throat, lay on him considerable while, and almost killed him, end quote. Another accuser, Bernard Peach, gave evidence testifying that he heard a scrambling at the window, whereat he then saw Susan Martin come up in and jump down upon the floor. She took hold of this deponent's feet, and drawing his body up into a heap, she lay upon him nearly 2 hours, in all which time he could neither speak nor stir. When the paralysis began to wear off, he bit Martin's fingers, and she went from the chamber down the stairs and out the door. Bridget Bishop was also accused of witchcraft in the testimonies which seem to describe sleep paralysis experiences. Richard Coleman claimed that the bishop had oppressed him so that he could neither stir himself nor wake anyone else, and that he was the night after molested again in sleep paralysis and alien abduction. There is strong evidence that some claims of alien abduction may actually describe episodes of sleep paralysis. In 1993, study by Spanos and a 2002 paper by Holden and French, it is shown that 60% of intense UFO experiences are associated with sleep. In 2008 study, French et al. Found that people who claim to have been abducted by aliens report more incidences of sleep paralysis than a control group. Descriptions of alien abduction often bear strong resemblance to accounts of sleep paralysis. A female abductee was lying on her back when she woke up from a sound sleep. Her body was completely paralyzed, and she experienced the sensation of levitation above her bed. Her heart was pounding, her breath was shallow, and she felt tense all over. She was terrified. She was able to open her eyes, and when she did so, she saw three beings standing at the foot of her bed in a glowing light. Another female abductee was lying on her back when she woke up in the middle of the night. She was completely paralyzed and felt electric vibrations throughout her body. She was sweating, struggling to breathe, and felt her heart pounding in terror when she opened her eyes. She saw an insect-like alien being on top of her bed. A male abductee awoke in the middle of the night, seized with panic. He was entirely paralyzed and felt electricity shooting throughout his body. He felt his energy drained away from him. He could see several alien beings standing around his bed. Whilst sleep paralysis is very likely linked with some alien abduction experiences, most experiences and experts agree that it isn't the sole explanation. Many alleged abductees have no initial memory of the full abduction, and accounts often materialize after memories are recovered by therapists and hypnosis. It has been suggested that these recovered memories are likely to be false memories manufactured by the interactions between therapists and the abductee. Sleep paralysis attacks and nocturnal attackers are integral to folklore of many countries. It is interesting how varied accounts and explanations can be across cultures. Whilst the core aspect of the experience remains the same, two of the best documented examples of nocturnal attackers are Kaneshibara in Japan and the Old Hag of Newfoundland. The term Kaneshibara, meaning to tie with an iron rope, is delivered and derived from the magic of Foda Mahoa, a Buddhist god. The idea of being tied up comes from the belief that ancient Buddhist monks could use magic to paralyze others as they were bound in metal ropes. Even today, many Japanese believe Kaneshibara to be caused by evil spirits. In 1987, a study of Japanese respondents, Fukuda et al. Found the symptoms of Kaneshibara to be identical to those of sleep paralysis. The old hag phenomena is traditional interpretation of sleep paralysis found in Newfoundland. A visit the old hag reportedly starts with the victim becoming conscious and unable to move or speak, and feeling a heavy pressure down on their chest. Victims sometimes report seeing an animal or human sitting or lying on their chest. Those who claim the experience, the old hag, also report being fully conscious during a visit. In folklore visits from the old hag, many be attribute to several factors. The victim may have been overworked, or may be the subject of hostile or jealous feelings of another person. In other parts of the world, diverse explanations can be found from sleep paralysis, like experiences across the Caribbean. The local term for sleep paralysis is kakama. Kakama is believed to be caused by the souls of unbaptized babies who come to strangle victims in their sleep. In many African cultures, voodoo magic is cited as a cause of sleep paralysis, with attacks being the work of zombies coming to visit at night. Madalani, these are but a few of many examples of sleep paralysis in different cultures. Again, interested readers are referred to Davies' 2003 paper on supernatural interpretations of sleep paralysis, which gives many detailed examples from different parts of the world, and Shelley Alder's 2012 book. Even more remarkable than the great diversity of explanation of the same phenomenon is how changes within culture can bring about changes in the interpretation of sleep paralysis, and even the hallucinatory content. In 2005, Law and Kilmayer interviewed Inuit elders and youths about their experience of Unamarku, the local term for sleep paralysis. They found that elders attribute the experience to the work of shamanistic forces, often a hex placed on the victim by a shaman. They also believe Umanokwi, whatever that word is, acts to single coming misfortune, such as bad hunt. Young Inuits, however, have very different interpretations. Whilst their accounts of their symptoms of Unamari were the same as the elders, they invoked typical Christian explanations of attacks as the work of the devil, probably as a result of increasing presence of Christianity in the region. They too thought it to be harbinger of misfortune, but related this portent to contemporary challenges face units such as poverty and unemployment. Some young Inuits also explained sleep paralysis in scientific terms. Another example from Zanzibar shows how interpretations of Papawamba, the local traditional interpretation of sleep paralysis, was originally shaped from various explanations which were replaced with a single explanation in reaction to increased political instability in the region. Walsh, 2009. These two examples illustrate the extent to which the explanations and interpretations of sleep paralysis are affected by culture's setting beliefs. So basically, guys, no matter where you go in the world, they got sleep paralysis. Alien abductions, the old hag, everything. Okay, if you want the reference for this, go to the sleepparalysisproject.com and you can check it all out. But there you go, guys. It's basically just an overview of the the multicultures and interpretations of sleep paralysis. Most believe it's supernatural. Very few feel that it is from overworked, being tired, or some type of clinical diagnosis. Thanks for watching. God bless. Stay safe. Have a great day. And hit me up with some of your stories, guys.